That's carried. Thank you very much, Andrew. And Peter, go back to you. Item 23, performance exceptions report.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The purpose of this report is to go through year-end results for levels of service, to briefly look at those results by activity, and to go through the staff comments on unsuccessful levels of service. The good news is that we finished the year bang on target. The forecasts have been very accurate for some 6 months now, 85.8% for a target of 85. So a good and well forecast result. That is subject to Audit New Zealand. They often want to go into the detail of some, and we may lose a couple, but at this stage that's where we're at. On the table at the bottom of the first page of the exceptions report, there's a split out by activities that shows you how the levels of service went by each activity, water supply, roading and so forth. There's a division there between results that come from the resident survey and those that are based on other measures like quantity, quality, service responsiveness, meeting specifications in contracts, that kind of thing. It's not a discussion for today, but there's a lot of variety there in terms of which activities are using a heavy proportion of survey results and which are not. We have been cautioned in the past by Audit New Zealand for over-reliance on feedback and not striking a right balance between feedback and scientific measures of delivery. So that's, I guess, one to park for another day, but it's just a point to make. In terms of capital results at a very high level, the watch list shows 94% delivery around major cycleways, so a very high result for the year. Lesser result around overall watch list projects. They finished at 61. That's even actually a little higher than May because the town hall was moved out of that year, which changes the baseline. Now, the exceptions, key exceptions are listed in the table there. They're very steady with previous months. There's no real change. Actually, there's no real change around either the level of service exceptions or the capital ones. They've been very steady for some months now. So look, at a very high level, that's the results for the year. The exceptions comments are attached from each manager around their individual levels of service. They're also quite steady from previous months, but I'm happy to field any questions from the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. So page 10, in terms of the exceptions, I mean, it looks like, so the red bars, water supply obviously has been a big issue, some transportation and parks, which tend to be the three big issues that we get feedback from the public on.
Yes.
So that suggests that those two things are working quite well.
Yes, I mean, it does show the trend over the course of the last 4 to 6 months. So you'll see that some groups are quite steady and their results haven't changed over time. Others, there's been a deterioration towards year end. That's largely influenced by receiving survey results.
Okay, any questions on this? No? Andrew?
This is page 8 of this report. We've got the watch list capital project delivery exceptions, noting that some are expected to be delivered on time. There's one that looks as though it's expected to be delivered a little bit early, but there are some where there are some significant delays, some months and some longer than months. We've got MCR Rapanui Shagrok planned for August 19, expected to be delivered September 20. So that leads me to look at the red, amber, green. When a project is expected to be delivered, forecast to be delivered some months or in that one case over a year late, what's the rationale for that to still be showing as amber rather than red? What would give rise to a red button rather than amber button if a project been over a year late doesn't?
Those lights are thrown by the project managers, and I actually can't provide a rationale for that. I don't know if City Services can.
Because I would have thought for this table to have any meaning, there would need to be some consistency around the application of the green, amber, red lights.
Sure.
And if it's down to the project manager to determine what the application of the green, amber, red is, then it means that there's no consistency in the table, presumably.
I understand.
So we work, all of the managers that work with project managers work to try and achieve that consistency, and the PMO, Andrew and the team provide us with guidance on how to switch the lights. So there is some consistency there in that sense. Usually it would go red if we can't deliver it or won't be delivering it
At all.
at all.
So a project been delivered over a year later than planned isn't intended to generate a red flag.
It depends on the reason for that. So that in that case, with that Rapanui Shag Rock Section 3, it is a consenting, we're working through a very complex consenting process. So we are still planning to deliver it, and that was the rationale was that we left it as amber.
Yeah. So just for future understanding, the only point at which we would expect to see a red indicator on this table would be if a project isn't intended to be delivered at all, and there can be any amount of delay and a project would still reflect as amber. That's kind of what I'm hearing.
I'd have to put that one on to Andrew, because that's a general process as well as that one we were advised with that.
Yeah.
So that was a specific one there.
Yeah.
So the flags are intended as a mechanism for the PMs to indicate or flag to the governance structures for their projects that there's some challenges on their project. Red would mean that something has gone catastrophically wrong, really, and that something needs to be done to get that to get that project back on track. But if it's flagged red, then the intention is that we're not going to deliver it on time and within budget.
Yeah. So
Amber would indicate that there's some challenges and something needs to be done to get it back on track.
So a project been delivered over a year late because of consenting issues that may or may not have been able to be anticipated prior to the start of the project, that isn't intended to generate a red flag.
Correct. The amber flag is flagging that there's obviously some challenges with it. I don't know the detail of that, but that would go red if that was sort of unrecoverable, if they didn't get the consents.
Okay, I mean, I guess from my point of view as a governor, when I look at we've got 500 odd pages in this agenda today. When I go through these reports, what I want is to be able to not go looking for needles in haystacks and be able to immediately see those things that I need to focus my attention on. I'm almost thinking we need two different shades of amber in this case, because there's a big difference between a project being a month behind schedule and over a year behind schedule, and the colour coding in this table doesn't allow for that to be immediately pointed out without reading every line in the report. I probably would respectfully suggest that maybe we need to redefine the use of green, amber, red in this case if we would reflect a project been a few weeks late in the same way as we reflect a project been, in this case, over a year and possibly longer than that late, as long as the project's intended to still be delivered. If a project was intended to be cancelled and not delivered, I probably would expect more of a heads up than just a red flag in a report as well. So can I suggest that we might want to have a look at the way that we use the green, amber, red on this table for the table to have the sort of meaning it's intended to have?
The definitions, if you look below the table, the definitions are there, and they're actually quite clear. It's more in the application of those definitions.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the definition, there is no logic to why MCR Papanui Shag Rock would not be in red. So we either need to change the definitions to meet the way that we're applying them, or we need to run the table, and I will say, in the way it was intended to be run, so that as governors we can use it the way that it's intended to be used. I, on the face of it, would expect to see MCR Rapa Nui Shag Rock to be red rather than amber, and possibly some of the others as well, but I use that one as the most glaring example of where the definitions at the bottom are not borne out by what's actually occurring in the table.
Any other questions? Yanni?
Just to highlight that I would concur with that it's, yeah, I think we do have some information in the watch list further on the agenda in the public excluded, so maybe we can get into it then. Did you want to have questions now about the levels of service survey results, or do you just want it on the key exceptions? That
Just on this report.
Yes.
Right, okay. So I see that we're getting the memo back in October around the end-to-end process around CSRs, but on this report, we still have the issue of not understanding the number of complaints that we're getting from people because of the new technology, the hybrid system. So I just really want an understanding about when we're going to know what the level of complaints are. And that's just on page, where is it? I think it's 11, and there's also, where is it? Page, yeah, there's a number of survey measures in here that we're told that we can't get because of the technology. So yeah, I just really want to understand when they're going to be addressed in terms of being able to be recorded with our IT system.
I don't have the background to the technical detail behind the system or why those results aren't there. I'm relying on the manager's comments and accountabilities there. My understanding of it was that during the course of the year, that issue had been clarified and resolved, but it doesn't appear to have been. So all I can really offer is to go back to the manager and say, look, can we get some more detail around why that result, what's underpinning that result?
Okay, so just, sorry, it is on page 11, and it is the measure 12.0.1.15.
I see it.
Council operates water supplies in a reliable and responsive manner. Number of complaints is the target. Actual is 0. Comment is no ability to measure this currently, but we'll look to have Hybris amended to sign off complaints if a customer is happy with response or not. In general terms, we'll work with a customer to provide a satisfactory outcome for all parties. The remedial action is work with continuous improvement team and Hybris Group to make the changes needed. I personally think we need a greater time frame and clarity around when that change will be put in place. But I have to say I'm really uncomfortable not being able to know how many people are complaining about our water.
Now, look, I think I can help a little bit here with, you may recall we had a conversation on this with Dave Adamson a couple of months ago, where he pointed out that the data exists, but the Hybris module wasn't able to report on it at that point, but it was being fixed. Now, it sounds like it's not resolved, but that was his report back. The data does exist, it's just not reporting through this new module.
The data exists, why can't it be provided as part of this report?
That's a fair question.
You know, like, it just feels like we're blind, completely blind to the trends that people are showing. And I thought previously, like with roading and all those other ones as well, that we were told that it was, going to be like a month or a few months to get that. It's now been nearly probably half a year.
You're right.
And we still don't have it. So, I mean, with guidance from the chair of this committee, I don't know what clear expectation we need to set, but it does seem to me that to not have this information is pretty critical to these reports.
John, are you able to shed?
Okay. What I would suggest, I think we'll add another resolution in here that we get a report back on what is going, a report back on the Hybris system.
Yes.
And the... Yeah. Well, no, because you're right, this has been going on for some time, and we have huge gaps in the reporting here in terms of what we need to be seeing, which is quite basic stuff. And there's no point people saying the data's there, but we can't get it when you've implemented a new system. So I'd say report back on the Hybris system and customer complaints data.
I think last time we discussed this, there was going to be a workshop held with us around.
But you mentioned something with workshop in October or something. Did you say that was in this report?
Is that we'll get a memo back in October, but
right.
I think that's really too late. I mean, this is technology that we've got. We're spending huge amounts of money on this technology. I thought we'd previously asked for a workshop around the whole hybrid system to understand what the issues are.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
maybe
so I'd like a report back for the next meeting,
Right.
and then we'll take it from there.
Could I just get a little bit more specificity about what the report needs to contain? Is it why the data is not flowing through,
Yeah.
when the data will appear? Is it
Why the data's not flowing through, and if it's there, let's have it in another format.
and what
I mean, we've had some very good reports in the past around CSRs and
Yes.
trend. I mean, this report I can never track down, but I know we've seen it. It was a very good report. It had years of data and trends. That's all we need to see.
okay?
Okay.
I think we really want to know what the changes are, that's the remedial action for this, and when they will be delivered, and what the cost is.
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, so just had another question regarding there's reference to the meeting room technology upgrades. I think we'd asked for a report coming back as well. Just wanted to check when that report's coming back. This is on page 15. And, again, like this is another one where percentage of residents who understand the council makes decisions, at least 41%. The actuals listed as 0, although in the resident survey it says we've achieved 33%. It's talked about the technology upgrades to Coastal, Burwood, Papanui, Innis and Little River, which we didn't approve at a governance level. We've got other service centres where people can't hear, or boardrooms where people can't hear. So people certainly can't understand and contribute when they attend. And I just want to know, when that report's coming.
John, I think, wants to talk.
Also, that target seems like it should be 33%, but
Yeah, that can be fixed.
Thank you, Councillor Johansson. Specifically answering your question, we've discussed this. There is a fixed sum of budget set for the upgrade of audio visuals at boardrooms. There is a program in operation. Yearly we set the program. It's approved. We'll be in a position to discuss it with you probably in early October. There's been no change to the information we've provided on this. There are a range of other reasons and improvement actions that we're undertaking to improve our achievement of this measure, and that's one small part of them. But the boardroom upgrade process, we had a debate recently where the Coastal Burwood boardroom was prioritised. So really this is nothing new, and I can't offer any updated information.
when that came to us last time, and I think it was last month or maybe the month before, we did have a resolution to get a specific report back around the future technology upgrades.
Yep.
So you're saying that's going to come back in October,
That's my estimate, yep.
but there's
Yep.
no new information. So, why does it take till October? My understanding is the governance managers of the boards had all provided feedback around the prioritisation, but we at a governance level have never had a chance to have a say. So despite the fact I've been raising to get microphones in Linwood for 20 years, we don't get a say, but other boardrooms are getting microphones.
Okay, that's a detailed issue. John has said the report is coming. If you want it accelerated,
Yeah.
go and talk to him about it.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Pauline.
Any other questions?
Ours are fantastic as well, actually. Yours are good. Very,
Okay,
you did brilliant.
do we...
We're done by lunchtime.
Okay, people, settle down. I've got a resolution here. I'm happy to move. Do I have a seconder? Seconded, Andrew. Any discussion?
Is there a way, because I mean, I actually do feel for Yanni on this. He has consistently brought this up for years, and then suddenly good systems have appeared out of the blue, like we didn't know either at our board. So is there a way we can kind of...
There is sit
Some
down
direction.
with John and talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I wasn't listening. No, it's okay. It was amusing from Glenn.
I was just saying, to be fair to Yanni, he's brought this up for years,
Okay.
and then suddenly these things...
Are there any
appear.
more questions on the report? If there's a discussion about that, talk to John. Okay, so we have a mover and seconder. So moved. Who moved it? Yeah, okay. Any debate? Okay, I'll put the motion. All in favour say aye. Aye. Against. That's carried. Thank you.